How about the defender being a heat-seeking missile? He was on radar lock. He found the football and flew down with some bad intentions.
Didn't get much done on that first play of the drive. It's 2nd and 11. He's looking to throw. Grabbed over the middle. It's long. And a good job of coverage by that defense. Just a short pickup.
This slot receiver gives defensive coordinators nightmares. You have got to double him virtually on every pass play. He better have safety help over top. Otherwise, this guy's a threat to score every time they throw the ball.
They get to him as he throws. The receiver was doubled, and they picked it off. A return there would have just been icing on the cake. They'll just have to settle for the cake at the 23.
Well, statistically, this defense is not one of the better units against the pass. They're trying to change that here today. What a great job tracking the ball down, making a play on it, stabbing it out of the air for a big interception early. That should be massive for their confidence.
They get him on the ground, but not before he rumbles all the way to the 5.
You know, they pride themselves on being physical at the point of attack, dominating at the line of scrimmage. Nice job there picking up the first down.
They'll use the running game on 1st and goal. He works his way all the way down to the 3, and the defense is reeling. Now 2nd and goal, and right in the teeth of this noise. They'll try to power it in. He's knocked down in the backfield. He'll lose a couple.
Well, just nothing doing on that last run, and they knew coming into this one they were going to be challenged, right? This is one of the best defenses in all of college football. For them to have any shot, they're going to have to do a lot better running the football.
They won't let him in. He had a nose for that end zone, but he will be stopped short. 4th and goal from the 2. Can they finish this drive? He's looking to throw. Fires into the end zone. Throws it back across his body, and what do you think happened? Intercepted. Crosses midfield. The 30. At the 20. And he's going to take it all the way. Touchdown time.
Dude, from 4th and goal, backs against the wall. You don't want to give up points to. I'm putting points on the scoreboard. What a play by this defense. Nice break on the football, gets the pick, finds the green grass, and takes it all the way back for a touchdown.
They're lining up to kick it off after the pick 6, and that defense will come out feeling it. He'll bring it out. It's Hood. He was looking for some running room, but not much to be found as he stopped at the 18. Colorado has the ball back, and the Buffaloes hoping to put their team in prime position on offense. This possession will be a test after squandering that long drive throwing a pick 6, Jesse.
You're right, Reese. Well, I think this is really dependent, too, on the leaders in this huddle right now to step up and help this offense get back on pace here on this drive.
Yeah, and this defense is frothing at the mouth. They're excited. They're jacked up. They just made a big play. They got all the momentum, so they're ready to hunt.
And the incompletion brings up a 2nd down for this offense. He's looking to throw. Floating away. He chucks one out to the right. He's got it downfield for a huge gain. Big gain on that one as he steps out of bounds with a 1st down.
Yeah, and the quarterback knew exactly where he wanted to go with the football, had time, spins the ball deep. Nice job by this offense, understanding what the defense is giving them and creating explosive play.
Hit hard as he released the ball on that 1st down pass, and it never had a chance. Now, a couple of times historically that the SEC has reached into the Big 12 during an expansion era, and the Big 12 would love to land a blow on the field here in this one.
Yeah, and I think there probably is some of that with the Big 12. A lot of these teams, they used to be in our conference, and you've kind of ruined what we had built. So we got a chance now to make a dent in this, to show you, like, we're not just your, like, little recruiting system and little farm team, Jesse. Like, we're a real conference that wants to come out and make a statement.
I agree, David. I think the Big 12 throughout the years here recently has done a good job reloading and bringing in good quality programs with a lot of talented football players and those wide open, up-tempo, high score.
And the defense picks up a sack, getting the quarterback down at the 44.
And it's such an advantage for this defense to have an outside linebacker like that can rush the passer because they can set the edge. They can get off the ball, and they're just way too fast for tight ends or for offensive tackles to get out and block them.
On 3rd and long, he'll need to loosen up that arm. Takes a hit as he fires. It's caught downfield. And they'll finally bring him down after he rips off a huge play. The Buffaloes are rolling down the field. From the red zone, looking for a receiver. And he's got it! Touchdown, Buffaloes! Can these guys just score from anywhere out there? After that drive, it sure looks that way.
And that's what separates really good offenses from great offenses. When you're backed up in a bad position and you can still fight your way out and go get you a touchdown, that's a great drive by the offense.
And they did tack on that extra point without any adventure. So that scoring drive took only 6 plays. And the capper, a 19-yard toss for the touchdown. And we're all square as he's set to kick it away. From back of the end zone, he'll bring it out. Stopped at the 17, and he's probably second-guessing that return. The Tide offense rolls onto the field. After that last pick, David, they really need to take care of the ball this time.
No doubt. And Palmer, I want to know what Spurrier said to you on this.
Off he goes! And they'll finally bring him down after he rips off a huge play.
Defense is going to have their hands full trying to stop this guy. They better rally to the football and get multiple hats because he is not easy to bring down.
Off the play fake on 1st down to throw. Unloads it left and wings it incomplete.
Just didn't seem like the quarterback and his intended target were on the same page there.
Couldn't make the connection on 1st down. Now here on 2nd. Quarterback changing the plays at the line. Dialing up a 2nd down pass play. Just missed his man, gave him just a little too much. Boy, guys, they got off to a great start with that big first play on this drive, but now a couple of incompletions leaves them in a hole. Another incompletion on 3rd down.
Oh, man, the quarterback almost just threw his 2nd interception on as many drives. He's trying to fit that football in there. It gets tipped up in the air. He's lucky that wasn't picked off.
On the return, it's good. Pretty solid coverage there, and they'll stop him at the 26. And the Colorado offense is coming back onto the field. How big is this drive? Scored a touchdown the last time they had it. Defense gets a stop, and now it's up to them in a tie game.
All right, so if you're the offensive coordinator here, let's dial it in. Who are your best matchups and best playmakers to take advantage of this golden opportunity?
Yeah, and I'm interested to see this defense, too. Like, the momentum is clearly not in your favor. How do you get it back? How do you make a big play? You be more aggressive here to try to get the football back to your offense.
I'll tell you, this is a running back who's very, very dangerous, and the defense did a good job getting him down there. But they got to do a great job gang tackling because this is a guy that can break tackles and turn those types of plays into home runs.
And that pass picked off.
This is obviously not a great start for this quarterback here. 2 interceptions already in his game. He's got to do a much better job with his decision-making.
Here comes that Alabama offense. They had to punt it away on their last possession, but man, what great field position this time.
I mean, this is awesome. Like, last possession didn't go great. Now you're set up in an opportunity to get some points. Start thinking about what plays I like, Jesse, as I cross the 50.
There are a lot of offensive coordinators out there, David, and in this position, they like to take a shot right away and try and capitalize on this field position.
6-yard pickup on first down leaves them with 2nd and 4. They'll ride the running back and leave it with him. Defense there to stop him after a gain of 3, but he is inside the 30 to the 29. Coming to the line, looking for that first down on 3rd and short from the 29. He'll go to the sneak.
And David, on 3rd and inches right there, that's often a decision the quarterback predetermines. Who's my best guard? That's the guy I'm going to try to get to.
And I know that defensively, too, but I'm just trying to dive and create a pile, but it's so hard to stop that play. That's why you see it ran so successful.
They'll give it to the back. They make the stop, give him 3 yards on the carry. Ball's at the 24.
You know, it's so important for offenses to want to keep 3rd downs manageable. The way you do that is by having success like that, running the football on 1st down.
Been showing them the run. Now they'll throw it. Steps away to find some room. And the timing just a hair off. They've got a ways to go on 3rd down from the 24 as this defense tries to force them into a field goal try. Quarterback will audible. On 3rd down, he'll try to pick it up through the air. He's got an open man. And he strides his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Bama!
I love this tight end because, man, he's a weapon in the passing game. Big guy, big target, and he has a lot of ability after the catch. You saw it on that touchdown.
They'll try to add another to their lead. And the PAT gives them a 14-7 lead. So that scoring drive took only 6 plays. And they finished things up with a dart from 24 yards out. About to kick it away after scoring the touchdown. The kickoff bounces through the end zone. They'll bring it out to the 25. They'll put this one in play. First snap of the drive from the 25. They go to the ground. And after the tackle, that will bring us to the end of the first quarter. Second down here as they go back to work after the break. He's looking to throw. He finds his man. And he'll be marked down right there, still short of the first down.
Nice completion here to this wide receiver. And you're going to see this receiver line up in different spots all over the field all game long. Defense has got to keep their eye on where this guy is because they know he's a big part of this offense's success.
They'll immediately call timeout.
Timeout, Colorado.
Here comes this home crowd as the defense tries to get off the field on 3rd down. Touch pass on the jet sweep. And he earns a first down, and boy, did he earn it after taking that lift.
I just love the play call. You're getting a fast player out in the open field, and it's enough to get you a first down.
And the Buffaloes have it with a 1st and 10. Motion from the offense. He'll come out throwing on 1st down. Unloads to the wideout. Working that left side. And he's brought down after a nice gain.
That's a really, really good route by the receiver. It's called a corner route. Did a great job sticking his foot in the ground and running towards the sidelines and running right to that hole in the defense.
Going up top on 1st down. He lofts it high and deep down the left side. And into the end zone he goes. Touchdown, Bucks!
Really nice job working the route and getting himself open. He was able to locate the football, snag it out of the air, and this guy now has 5 receiving touchdowns on the year.
Let's go to the studio now and check in with Kevin Connors. Kevin, what do you got?
Dynamite matchup this week, fellas. Let's show you what's going down. Rice fell behind early, and it's been an uphill climb since. Thing is, this is a program that's worked the quota about as well as anyone. These kids are tough and could just find a way. It's just a field goal game. They're trailing by 3 to UConn. Your boy KC has you covered here in studio, guys, in case anything changes in this one.
Thanks for the update on that one, Kevin. Let us know when it goes final. Wants to throw on 1st down off the play fake. He's got it. Building momentum, picking up a chunk of yardage, moving the chains out to the 34. The transition of Alabama quarterbacks over the years has been fascinating, from the dreaded game manager label to playmaker.
To playmaker, to spread it out, to Heisman winner. I mean, that's how much this offense has changed and evolved, and they're going.
He hurls one deep down the left side. And this is dropped. Incomplete pass. He had a huge gain in his fingers, and he couldn't hold on.
And I love taking deep shots. I think it makes quarterbacks play honest, safeties play honest, and you can tell just missed a little bit deep on that shot. But listen, those are shots that we want to take because the risk is definitely worth the reward.
And after the incompletion on 1st down, this offense looking at 2nd down. Wants to go up top. And the defense is all over the quarterback, and down he goes.
And how about the defense getting home with the pass rush? Playing man coverage in the back end. You need to win up front. Those guys got to get to the quarterback. Do a great job rushing the passer. I can play man when I got a pass rush like that.
Slings it downfield. Makes a connection. And sure, tackling there to keep him from getting to the 1st down marker. Looks as if the Tide will punt it away. Bringing it back, it's good. The solid return there offsets some of the punt yardage and really sets up this offense nicely. Colorado has the ball back, and the Buffaloes hoping to put their team in prime position on offense. This could be a real turning point in the game. They scored a touchdown. They got to stop. And now a chance to break the tie.
Yeah, this offense has got it cooking, man. And how about the defense? Great job getting that stop, getting the football right back to the hot hand. Now this offense, Palmer, has a chance to take the lead.
You can see the offense, too. They understand the situation right now. They were jonesing on the sidelines to get another opportunity to run back on the field. They are ready to drive this ball and go score.
Halfway there on 1st down, it's 2nd and 5. He's looking to throw. Quarterback now breaking the field. He steps out of bounds, but he's got enough for a 1st down.
Well, it's a great individual effort by him, but boy, oh boy, it came at a cost. He was able to go out and get some positive yards and make something happen for his offense, but did you see the hit he just took? I don't know if he can take too many more of those.
Got it in stride inside the 20. Touchdown, Colorado! Hauled it in and just kept right on running to the hallelujah land. And with the extra point, the score is now 21-14. Quick strike offense on that three-play scoring drive. And the capper coming on that 48-yard touchdown dart. From inside the 10, here he comes. Probably needed to pick up an extra block or two, but as it is, he'll be stopped at the 28. The Tide offense rolls onto the field. That last drive won't go on the highlight reel after ending in a punt. They'd like to be more productive this time, David.
And I think this offense has to be a little bit more balanced. Find a little balance between the run, Jesse, and working in that pass.
And I think, too, David, it's just going to take a spark. It just takes one play to get this thing picked up and going.
Got 6 on first down. Now a lot of options on 2nd and 4. The inside handoff. They'll move the chains after he gets it to the 43-yard line. We've reached the 2-minute warning, and we have ourselves a ball game, and they have a chance to take the lead here before the half. Now on first down from the 43-yard line. Makes his man miss. And how about the efficiency on that one? It'll bring up 2nd and 4.
I know it's sexy to throw the football, but if you can pound it away and get these kind of gains, they will just add up, wear the defense down, get first downs, and ultimately get some points.
Quarterback strolling away from Heat. Got him, and nobody's close. And they'll finally catch up to him, but not before a big chunk of yardage is picked up.
What a beautiful throw and catch on this play, and I love the job the receiver did tracking the ball in the air. Nice job of locating the throw and then hauling it in.
Alabama comes to the line with 1st and 10. From the red zone, he's going to throw it. Now he's going to glide away from pressure. Finally run out of bounds, but he has this offense rolling with a first down.
When you have scrambling quarterbacks, you got to have a spot. You got to have somebody in the middle of the field. Everybody's playing coverage, but that guy's job is...
And he takes it to the house. Touchdown, Alabama!
And I love that this offense stuck to it. Stuck to the run game. Didn't panic. They got down, but they answered the bell right before the half, and they got this thing right where they want it now. They can tie this football game and hopefully go into the half with a lot of momentum.
And he added the extra point. So that scoring drive took only 6 plays. And they punctuated it with a 5-yard touchdown run. Fielded in the end zone. It's Hood. Pulled down at the 18, and the decision to bring it out of the end zone was not a good one. And the Colorado offense is coming back onto the field. These two defenses have had their heads spinning here in the first half, and now we might even see a little more scoring with it. And a sack all the way back at the 5.
As an offense, you've got to know it. This part of the field, deep in your own end, you've got to do a better job in pass pro if you're going to call a pass play at this juncture in the game. Not good enough.
Got out of trouble and throws. He's right on target. They bring him down, but a solid pickup to put them in position to pick up a first down. They've got him pinned deep in their own end, and this crowd trying to help keep them there. On 3rd and long, no secret what he needs here. And he is snowed under, sacked at the 7. Quick timeout by the defense there, trying to make sure everyone has the same call. He gets his first one of the day out of there, and they used him 3 times in that loss last week. Really good job by the coverage team to make the stop, and that's where they'll put it in play. Here comes that Alabama offense. On that last drive, defense had no idea what was happening. Run or pass, and it wound up in the end zone, Jesse.
Yeah, you saw the experience in this offense that last drive, too.
The freshman able to get home with the sack. The hurry up now, second down, clock ticking. Quarterback reacting to what the D is showing. On second down, they'll take to the air. Throws to the wideout. Missed his receiver there. It's incomplete.
Things aren't going to get better for this offense, guys, until their quarterback becomes more accurate. Obviously, that was the problem the last game out. Completed less than 50% of his passes there. And he's doing it again here. You just can't score points if you're not completing throws.
On third and long, a check down would be the last resort. It's complete. We've got a timeout in the waning seconds of the half. Maybe a chance to get off a couple more plays. Time dwindling away as they try to put points on the board right before the half. They'll throw it on first down. Fires to the middle. Just flying through the air like a superhero to make the grab. They'll use a timeout right before halftime. Maybe time for one or two more plays. They'll try to salvage a field goal on this drive. Kick is good. The offense has 3 points to show for the drive. And with that, they've taken the lead. So they get the late field goal right before the half, and not much time after this kickoff for an answer. And no chance at a return here. They'll start this drive at their own 25. Just enough time for one final play in this half. Leaves it with the back. Pirouettes through. And that's a live ball. Oh, the offensive first. Absolute disaster by falling on that fumble. First half in the books. Time now to join Kevin Connors in our halftime update. Ready to start the second half. Alabama will kick it off. That ball skips through the end zone. It's a touchback, and they'll take over at the 25-yard line. Colorado has the ball back, and the Buffaloes hoping to put their team in prime position on offense. Low man wins, and he just smashed him. These little gains can start to add up as he gets it up to the 34.
You want to talk about making it easy for an offensive coordinator. You pick up a bunch of yards on first down, make that second down really, really manageable. That's a great job by the offense.
And the quarterback is snowed under. One of the mantras of the Crimson Tide is they want to make your rear end quit. And that defensive line can certainly do that.
Big, physical. You've seen all these guys up front. They're strong at the point of attack, and they make you earn everything you get. And the athleticism when they get you in passing situations and they know you're going to pass, they're going to come after your quarterback.
Can't make the connection on third down thanks to that tough, hard-nosed pass defense, and now it's fourth down. And the Buffaloes decide to punt it away. This will be the second time they've had to kick it away. On the move, it's Scott. He couldn't find much running room there. Didn't get a lot of blocking, and he'll step out of bounds. The Tide offense rolls onto the field. They had to settle for the chip shot field goal last time, Jesse. They'd love for this one to pay off bigger.
Yeah, it just comes down to execution, too. Did a nice job out in the field, stalled a little bit once they got down to the goal line, so they just need to be a little bit more crisp here.
Yeah, and listen, I think the first part was the most important part. You got to put the drive together first to get down there. Now, when we get down there, focus on execution and getting 6 points.
And he can't escape, and down he goes.
And I think this team knew going into halftime trailing, their defense was going to have to step up here in the second half. And on the very first play of the third quarter, they get a sack. That is good news for this defense.
I'm not positive, but that first down marker might be in the next county. Quarterback making adjustments with his receivers. On 3rd and long, hoping to throw beyond the sticks. He's got it. The defense got caught that time, and they finally get him on the ground at the 41.
Well, I think on that play you saw why this guy's such a big weapon in this offense. At receiver, he does such a nice job with his routes. He's patient, and he's consistent, and he's got good hands. You don't see him put a lot of balls on the ground. Nice job there picking up the first down.
Small gain, I know. But again, the defense knows he's going to run the football. He's willing to run the football, not just drop back and pass. Make him honor the run game. You got to do a lot of this.
The pitch. Showing off the arm. He's run out of bounds, but a big play on that one, and it'll be a first down.
Well, you saw that broken tackle, David. This defense has to do a real good job with gang tackling to stop this guy today.
You cannot assume one guy's going to get him to the ground. Everybody's got to swarm to the football, all eyes on him, and play physical.
Finds his man. It's Law. They make the stop, but the sweet throwing catch is plenty to give him a first down. Last couple of plays, the offense seems to be just one step ahead, David.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to do something to disrupt the timing, the rhythm. I got to do something that they're not expecting, because right now they...
Touchdown, Crimson Tide! And they add 6 more to the board with that trip to the house.
Well, this guy's had a big role in this offense this year, especially when they get down close to the end zone. That's his 5th rushing touchdown on the year. He's been a factor for these guys offensively.
Lining up to cover the kick after that touchdown drive. He'll bring it out. It's Hood. He's brought down at the 16. Would have been much better off to take the touchback. And the Colorado offense is coming back onto the field. The deficit here is just 10 points, David, so a chance to answer here.
Plenty of time left in this football game. No need to panic. This offense just has to put a couple drives together. And listen, the defense will get this back and get some stops from and get you the football back.
And I think here too, David, you have an opportunity to keep the pressure on the opponent. Yeah, they just went down and scored, but you score here, and this game's still tight. You keep their feet to the fire, so an opportunity here to keep applying that pressure.
And the quarterback goes down all the way back at his 4-yard line.
And it's been a long day for this offense. If you can't protect your quarterback, it's hard to be successful. That's the 5th sack they have given up. The offensive coordinator has no answers in this.
The heat got to him, and he just sort of froze and got tackled in the end zone for a safety. After getting caught for a safety, they're lined up and ready to kick it off.
You could tell the defense smelled it. They knew exactly where they were on the field, put the pressure on him, got him down in the end zone. Safety, baby.
And your Alabama Crimson Tide will take over 1st and 10.
Here comes that Alabama offense. What a good mix of plays, keeping that defense off balance last time, David.
And Reese, they don't know if it's run or if it's pass. They got them right where they want. This defense doesn't know how to react from getting punched in the mouth on that last drive.
So on this next drive, David, I think you keep running the football because that sets up the play action, it sets up the RPO game, and then you keep this defense guessing.
After getting knocked back to open this drive, it's 2nd and 12. He's looking to throw. Zings it complete to the right. He's brought down, but he went backwards after that completion, not the way they had it drawn up.
He was not fooled on that one. You know, a lot of times you want to buy space, and you throw this route really when it's off coverage. But you could tell the cornerback was up, ready to come, pounce on that screen, and get the tackle for him once.
Getting some heat. That pass is well off target. He got hit as he was trying to throw, and they can't convert on 3rd down. Alabama will bring the punt team on the field. perfect example of not settling for a fair catch. Pick up whatever yardage you can and help out the offense. Colorado has the ball back, and the Buffaloes hoping to put their team in prime position on offense. And the last time they had the ball, they wound up giving up a safety, Jesse.
Yeah, that was ungood the last time they had the ball. So they got to do something here offensively to get into a rhythm, running and throwing the football. Try to find that consistency, Dave.
And try to find something positive with this offense. Forget about the safety. Those don't happen very often. Try to get some first downs together. Get some good mojo going.
This slot receiver is a guy the defense has to be careful of. He runs good routes. He's got some speed. And if you're not careful, this guy can gash you.
On second down, looking again to throw. And there was nowhere to go for this quarterback, and down he goes.
Goodness gracious, this is a master class, a clinic on how to get to the quarterback. The 7th sack of the game. Are you kidding me? That's a season for some teams. They've lived in the backfield.
And he is finding wide open defenders all over the field. His 3rd interception of the day. And he's going to score on the interception. Touchdown tie! No midseason concentration laps here in Week 7 as they push out that lead.
I'll tell you what, as a DB, you're lucky if you get 1 pick six in your entire football life. This guy had one last game. He's got one this game. Quarterbacks are going to stop throwing his way.
And let's check in with Kevin Connors in the studio. Kevin?
Guys, let's take a look at what's happening in a great college football matchup. UCF has just had no answer to the beatdown they're taking today. I mean, when's the last time this happened to this program? They're trailing by 21 to Charlotte. Just another week of college football where we've come to expect the unexpected. Fellas?
Oh, and how about that? I know Kevin and those guys will be keeping an eye on it for us. He's knocked down in the backfield. He'll lose a couple. They tried to get the defense going the wrong way with the counter, but nothing doing.
Aggressive defense, attacking defense. You want to hit them with those counters, but it wasn't successful in this play. Defensive line, linebackers, everybody's dialed in. They see what's going on. They diagnose it, go downhill, hit them right in the middle of the field.
You know, this zone replay is something they rep over and over and over in practice. This guy can run it and execute it in his sleep. Good decision there keeping the football.
And this offense just has to find a way to convert this 3rd down, or else they are really in trouble. He'll set up to throw. Fires to the wideout. He makes a catch. He will step out of bounds, but not before the big pickup and a first down for this offense.
Alabama, 40. Colorado, 21.
The Buffaloes come to the line with a fresh set of downs. Trying to find his man on first down. Hit as he throws. Pulls it in. At the 45 on his way. Huge plays like that can change the complexion of a game, and he's got it at the 22-yard line. Finally, some signs of life from this offense, which has done nothing in the second half. It's 1st and 10. He's looking to throw it. Finds his big tight end. He's brought down. Solid pickup, but a little bit short of the first down. It'll be 2nd down, and remember, they can pick up a first without scoring. He wants to pass it on 2nd down. Good timing on the quick out. They make the tackle, but he's got a fresh set of downs, and it's 1st and goal from the 7. Throw him to the spot, and that's exactly what he did to pick up the first down.
And that's so many hours of doing this together. You know exactly.
Pulls it in the end zone. Touchdown, Buffaloes! Lining up to add another. Smashes it through for the PAT. Almost ready to kick it away after scoring the touchdown.
40, Colorado, 28.
Oh, he's going to take a chance. Not nearly as much as he'd hoped when he brought it out of the end zone. He'll be stopped at the 15. The Tide offense rolls onto the field. After giving up that last touchdown, they still got the lead, but now feeling a little bit of pressure to answer with one of their own, David.
And it gets a little bit tight. Listen, we're getting later in the ball game. This offense punted last time. They got to find a few plays, Palmer, that they really love here. Steal some momentum back in this ball game.
They do, David, and after watching their defense just get gashed down the field that last drive, the dream drive for this offense would be to matriculate the ball down the field, eat up some clock, and finish it off with a touchdown.
Makes the catch. It's Watt. And he was loose and out the gate and doesn't go down until he gets to the 48-yard line.
There are a lot of offensive coordinators out there in a similar situation with a lead like this. They'd definitely be running the ball at this point. They'd probably take their starting quarterback out of the game potentially, but not this year. They are still staying aggressive. They're still taking shots. They're just trying to light up the score.
And listen, I'm going to move this guy everywhere. He's in the slot this time, but I'm not going to let the defense understand where he's lining up so they can double team him, put him in the slot, put him out wide. Either way, find this guy early and often.
Looks like Alabama will pick up the first down. Here's this offense with a fresh set of downs. Wide receiver coming across in motion. Touch pass on the right. A strong tackle and wrap-up from the junior.
Well, and on these little push passes, timing is so important. You're trying to snap it right as he's getting a full head of steam. When he gets the ball, he's hitting the outside, David. It puts the defense in such a difficult spot.
You immediately have to be rotating when you see that motion, so everybody's got to communicate and kind of bump over. That's why offenses love to run it. Just it makes the defense communicate and see if you can just get him out of a spot.
Ball at the 31, third and short coming, defense trying to rise up. We've reached the 2-minute warning, and this offense is that much closer to salting away a victory. Big third down play here. If they get a stop, you'll see an immediate timeout. Big fullback's got it. Offenses gain momentum with third down conversions like that. They've got it at the 25.
Fullbacks are a dying breed, but when you see them, it just reminds you of the big old neck roll, just huge, stout fire plugs that you don't want to hit. But on short yardage situations, occasionally you give the big boy the ball. There is no juke button. There is no speed burst. It is all power down your throat, hitting you and falling forward and getting that first down.
After the flag, it's 1st and 5 for the offense. Give to the fullback. And they try to run inside, and there is nowhere to go. Now the quarterback changing the original play call. No reason to do anything here except keep it on the ground on 2nd and 5. They're looking to get the edge with this one on the toss. They bring him down, and he's going to lose a yard on that one.
Well, the offense goes toss play, but guys, they do it running into the boundary where there's just not a lot of space and room to work for the running back. He had nowhere to go, and he got tackled for a loss.
Just outside the red zone at the 21, but it's 3rd and long. Well, this was an offensive showcase out there today. We thought it would be a high-scoring game, and it certainly delivered.
If you love offense, then you love this type of game. Both offenses going up and down the field, seemingly at will. Throwing the ball, running the ball. But, David, I feel like if you're a fan of defense, maybe this wasn't your cup of tea.
More defense optional. He didn't really get too much of that stuff, but, listen, you got to get a few stops late in the game. You got to get just kind of one stop with this many points that are being scored. You got the stop late. That's why you got the dub.
That's going to do it for us from here. For Jesse Palmer, David Pollack, I'm Reese Davis, and this has been another presentation of EA Sports College Football.